Your Honor, I could buy this entire courthouse with my birthday money. Those words came out of the mouth of a 23-year-old standing in my courtroom. I'm Judge Frank Caprio, and I've been serving at Providence Municipal Court for over 30 years. I've seen thousands of cases. I've heard every excuse imaginable. But what happened that Tuesday morning became something I'll never forget. The young man standing before me wore a watch that probably cost more than most people earn in a year. His designer suit was crisp and perfectly tailored. His hair was styled with that careless, expensive look that actually takes a lot of effort. He stood there with his arms crossed, smirking at me like this was all a joke. If you believe justice should be equal for everyone, you'll want to see what happens next. Let me back up and tell you how we got there. My bailiff, Officer Chen, called out the case number that morning. Case 2026 TR 48291, the City of Providence versus Maximilian Sterling 4. I looked up from my notes. Good morning, Mr. Sterling. Please step forward. The young man walked to the defendant's table with slow, deliberate steps. He didn't hurry. He wanted everyone to watch him. His shoes clicked on the tile floor. Expensive leather shoes. Each step echoed in the quiet courtroom. Mr. Sterling, you're here today regarding a serious traffic incident that occurred on January 15th. Do you understand the charges against you? He shrugged. Just shrugged. Like I'd asked him about the weather. Before we went further, I needed to address the victim. This case wasn't just about broken laws. It was about a person who got hurt. Is Mrs. Elena Martinez present? A woman in her mid-40s stood up from the gallery. She wore a server's uniform from a local diner. Her uniform was clean, but worn. She walked with a slight limp, favoring her left leg. Her hands trembled as she approached the witness stand. I spoke gently. Mrs. Martinez, thank you for being here. I know this isn't easy. Please tell the court what you do for work. Her voice was quiet but steady. I'm a waitress at Rosie's Diner on Branch Avenue, Your Honor. I work the morning shift, 6 days a week. I've been there for 12 years. And can you tell me about the morning of January 15th? She took a breath. I was crossing Main Street at the crosswalk near the hospital. I had just finished my shift. The light said walk. I checked both ways like I always do. I started crossing. Then I heard this loud engine sound. Before I could move, a car came around the corner so fast. It hit me. I flew several feet. I woke up in the emergency room. Her voice cracked. I have 2 kids, Your Honor. I'm a single mom. I couldn't work for 3 weeks. I still can't stand for full shifts. My manager had to reduce my hours. I don't know how I'm going to pay rent this month. I saw tears in her eyes. This woman wasn't asking for sympathy. She was just telling the truth, a truth that hurt to hear. Thank you, Mrs. Martinez. Please have a seat. I turned back to Maximilian. Mr. Sterling, you heard Mrs. Martinez. This is a serious matter. A woman was injured because of your actions. Do you have anything to say? He barely glanced at her. Look, Judge, can we speed this up? I have a lunch reservation at noon. It's really hard to get into this place. The gallery behind him stirred. I heard a few gasps. Even Officer Chen raised his eyebrows. I kept my voice level. Mr. Sterling, this is a courtroom, not a restaurant. We'll take as much time as justice requires. Show some respect. He rolled his eyes, actually rolled his eyes at me. Now, I continued, let's review the evidence. According to the police report, you were driving a McLaren 720S. You were clocked going 67 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour zone. You ran a red light. You hit Mrs. Martinez in a marked crosswalk. The pedestrian signal was in her favor. You had a stop sign. You didn't stop. Do you dispute any of these facts? I mean, I was in a hurry, he said, like that explained everything. Being in a hurry doesn't give you the right to endanger lives, Mr. Sterling. He sighed, a long, dramatic sigh. Whatever. Just tell me the fine. I'll pay it right now. He pulled out a wallet. A designer wallet, of course. It was stuffed with credit cards and cash. Credit or cash, I've got both. This isn't about money, Mr. Sterling. This is about accountability. Everything's about money, Judge. He said it with such confidence, like he knew a secret the rest of us didn't. I decided to present the first piece of evidence. Officer Chen, please display Exhibit A on the screen. The courtroom monitor lit up. It showed surveillance footage from a traffic camera. The timestamp read January 15th, 2026, 3:47 p.m. Everyone watched as a bright orange sports car appeared on screen. It was going so fast it was almost a blur. The car didn't slow down at the intersection. It blew through the red light. Then you could see Mrs. Martinez. One moment she was walking, the next moment, impact. Her body was thrown into the air. The car barely slowed down after hitting her. It kept going for another 50 feet before stopping. The courtroom was silent. Even Maximilian shifted his weight uncomfortably. The camera captured everything, Mr. Sterling. You were speeding. You ran the light. You struck a pedestrian. Then you stayed on scene, but only because there were witnesses who blocked your car. Isn't that right? I mean, yeah, people were freaking out. They wouldn't let me leave. They wouldn't let you leave because you had just hit someone with your car. He waved his hand dismissively. She walked into the street. She was in a crosswalk, Mr. Sterling, with the right-of-way. You had a red light. I had places to be. The gallery erupted with angry murmurs. I had to tap my gavel once. Order, please. Maximilian turned around to face the people watching. What are you all staring at? Mind your own business. I raised my voice slightly. Mr. Sterling, turn around and face me. Do not address the gallery. This is your second warning about respect. He turned back, but slowly, making a show of it. This is taking forever. Can't we just settle this? Name your price. I'll pay whatever. Name my price? I repeated his words carefully. Yeah. Come on. Everyone has a price. I'll pay the fine. I'll pay her medical bills. I'll even throw in extra for her trouble. Can we wrap this up? I leaned forward. Mr. Sterling, you can't just pay your way out of hurting someone. Justice doesn't work that way. Justice works exactly that way, Judge. Trust me. My dad's lawyers taught me that. I felt my jaw tighten. Your father's lawyers are wrong. Let's continue with the evidence. Officer Chen, please show Exhibit B. The screen changed. It now showed text messages, phone records, screenshots from Maximilian's phone obtained through a proper warrant after the incident. The messages were between Maximilian and his friend group. The texts were from the day of the accident, 1 hour before he hit Mrs. Martinez. Max, just left the dealership. New McLaren hits 200 easy. Friend, bro, don't get arrested again, Lyle. Max, please, Dad always handles it. I'm untouchable. Friend, speed limits are for poor people, haha. Max, facts, making a quick run to Providence. Want to see how fast I can get there. The timestamps continued. More messages, more bragging. Then the text stopped at 3:47 p.m., the exact time of the accident. After the accident, the text resumed at 4:15 p.m. Max, just hit some lady in Providence. So annoying. Friend, dude, are you okay? Max, I'm fine. Car has a scratch, though. So pissed. Friend, what about the lady? Max, IDK, ambulance came, whatever. Dad's sending lawyers. The courtroom went completely silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Everyone stared at the screen. Then they stared at Maximilian. Mrs. Martinez put her hand over her mouth. Tears ran down her cheeks. Maximilian saw everyone's reaction. For the first time, he looked nervous, but instead of showing remorse, he got defensive. That was a private conversation. You can't use that. It was obtained legally through a warrant, Mr. Sterling, and it shows your state of mind. You knew you were going to speed. You bragged about being untouchable. Then after hitting Mrs. Martinez, you called it annoying and only cared about your car. I was in shock. People say stupid things when they're in shock. These messages show a pattern, Mr. Sterling, a pattern of entitlement and disregard for others. He pointed at Mrs. Martinez. Look, I'm sorry she got hurt, okay? But accidents happen. I'm not a bad person. I made a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to use your turn signal. What you did was reckless endangerment. You chose to speed. You chose to ignore traffic laws, and when you hurt someone, you felt annoyed. His face turned red. His voice got louder. You don't understand what it's like. Everyone expects me to be perfect because of my last name. I have pressure too. Everyone in this courtroom has pressure, Mr. Sterling. Mrs. Martinez has the pressure of feeding her children, of paying rent, of recovering from injuries you caused. Your pressure doesn't excuse breaking the law. He clenched his fists. This is ridiculous. You're wasting my time. Do you know who my father is? I know exactly who your father is, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter? He laughed, a cold, sharp laugh. My father donated $2 million to renovate the public library in this city. He funds scholarships. He knows the mayor personally. You really want to make an enemy out of the Sterling family? The courtroom buzzed with shocked whispers. He'd just threatened me, in my own courtroom, on the record. I kept my voice calm. Are you attempting to intimidate this court, Mr. Sterling? I'm just stating facts. My family has connections, real connections. You're what, a municipal judge? You handle parking tickets. My father has dinner with people who could end your career with one phone call. Officer Chen stood up straighter. His hand moved closer to his belt. He was ready to act if needed. I locked eyes with Maximilian. Let me make something very clear. I don't care if your father knows the mayor, the governor, or the president. In this courtroom, we are all equal under the law. Your wealth doesn't buy you immunity. Everything can be bought, Judge. Everything. Not justice. Especially justice. He smirked again. That same arrogant smirk from earlier. Come on, let's be real. You make what, $150,000 a year? Maybe less? I could double your salary right now, in cash. Just be reasonable here. The room erupted. People stood up. Someone shouted. Officer Chen moved toward Maximilian. I banged the gavel hard. Order! Everyone sit down! It took a moment, but the crowd settled. The tension was thick. You could feel it pressing down on everyone. I looked at Maximilian Sterling IV, this spoiled, reckless young man who thought his money made him invincible. He'd gone too far, way too far. Mr. Sterling, did you just attempt to bribe a sitting judge? He realized his mistake. His eyes widened. Wait, no, I didn't mean you offered me money in exchange for being reasonable. Those were your exact words. I was just talking. It's not like I actually... Officer Chen, please note for the record that the defendant attempted to bribe the court at 10:47 a.m. Maximilian's face went pale. Hold on. You're twisting my words. I'm repeating your words. Now, before we discuss that serious issue, let's look at one more piece of evidence. Exhibit C, Officer Chen. The screen changed again. This time it showed video footage from a smartphone. A witness had recorded the aftermath of the accident. The video started right after impact. You could see Mrs. Martinez lying on the ground. People were running to help her. She wasn't moving. Someone was calling 911. Then the camera panned to Maximilian. He was standing next to his orange McLaren. He was looking at the front of his car, examining the damage. He crouched down to check the bumper. He touched the scratch and shook his head, upset. Mrs. Martinez was 10 feet away, possibly dying, and he was worried about his paint job. A witness in the video shouted at him, "Aren't you going to check if she's okay?" Maximilian glanced at Mrs. Martinez, then back at his car. Someone already called 911. What do you want me to do? Show some humanity. Maximilian stood up and crossed his arms. It's not my fault she wasn't paying attention. The video ended. The courtroom was frozen. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. What we just witnessed was so cold, so heartless, that words failed everyone, except Maximilian. He still had words. You know what? I'm done with this circus. You can't treat me like a criminal. I'm the victim here. My car was damaged. My reputation is being destroyed. And for what? Because some woman didn't look where she was going? He pointed at Mrs. Martinez again. You want money? Fine. I'll write you a check right now. $50,000. That's more than you make in a year, I bet. Take it, and we're done. Mrs. Martinez stood up, shaking. I don't want your money. I want you to take responsibility for what you did." Maximilian laughed. "Take responsibility? Lady, I just offered you 50 grand. That is taking responsibility." "No," she said firmly. "Taking responsibility means admitting you were wrong. It means changing. It means showing you understand you hurt someone." "I don't have time for this therapy session," Maximilian snapped. He turned to me. "Judge, I'll pay whatever fine you want. I'll pay triple. Just end this." I stood up from my bench. I needed to stand for this. "Mr. Sterling, you need to stop talking." "Why? Because the truth hurts? Because you can't handle someone who doesn't bow down to you? Because you're making this worse for yourself with every word." He stepped closer to the bench. Too close. "You think you have power? Real power? You sit in this little courtroom and pretend you matter. My family builds buildings. We create jobs. We fund campaigns. We make this city run. You're just a public servant, a servant. You work for us." 10 seconds of complete silence. The air itself seemed to stop moving. Officer Chen's mouth hung open. The court reporter's fingers froze above her keyboard. Mrs. Martinez stared in disbelief. The gallery sat motionless, waiting to see what would happen next. Then the whisper started, soft at first, then louder. Then people were talking over each other. Someone shouted, "Unbelievable!" Another voice called out, "Throw him in jail!" I raised my hand. The room went quiet again. Everyone watched me, waiting. I walked around my bench. I stood at the front of the courtroom, just a few feet from Maximilian Sterling IV. "Maximilian," I said his name slowly, "look at me." He met my eyes. The smirk was gone now. He looked uncertain. "Maximilian, you stood in this courtroom today and revealed exactly who you are. You showed us that you believe money makes you better than other people. You believe it makes you above the law. You believe it gives you the right to hurt someone and face no real consequences." I took a breath. "Let me tell you about Mrs. Elena Martinez. She wakes up every morning at 4:30. She gets her kids ready for school. She takes 2 buses to get to work because she can't afford a car. She works 8-hour shifts on her feet, serving people like you. People who probably don't say thank you. People who probably don't see her as a real person, just someone bringing them pancakes." Maximilian looked away. I'm not finished." My voice was firm. "She does this 6 days a week, every week, for 12 years. Do you know why? Because she loves her children. Because she believes in honest work. Because she has dignity, real dignity, not the fake kind you get from a bank account." I pointed at the evidence screen. "You injured this woman. You could have killed her. And your first thought wasn't, 'Is she okay?' It was, 'My car has a scratch.' Your text to your friend wasn't, 'I feel terrible.' It was, 'So annoying.'" "Maximilian, look at her." I gestured to Mrs. Martinez. "Look at her right now." He reluctantly turned his head. "That's a human being, a mother, a worker, a person with dreams and fears and responsibilities. She's not an inconvenience. She's not a problem to throw money at. She's someone you hurt, someone whose life you changed forever." Maximilian's jaw tightened. I said I was sorry. "No, Maximilian, you didn't. You never actually apologized. You offered money. That's not the same thing. An apology requires you to acknowledge wrongdoing. It requires remorse. I haven't seen any remorse from you, only entitlement." I walked back toward my bench. "You said your father's connections could end my career. Maybe that's true. Maybe your family has that kind of influence. But here's what you don't understand. I don't serve your father. I don't serve the mayor. I serve justice. And justice means everyone is accountable for their actions." I sat back down. "You asked me earlier if everything can be bought. You said especially justice. You're about to learn how wrong you are." Maximilian stood frozen. For the first time he looked scared, actually scared. "Maximilian Sterling IV, you are guilty of reckless driving, speeding, running a red light, and causing injury to a pedestrian. Those are the traffic charges. But you've also committed contempt of court through your behavior today, and you attempted to bribe a judge, which is a criminal offense." His expensive lawyer, who had been quiet until now, jumped up. "Your Honor, my client was speaking emotionally. Your client offered me money in exchange for leniency. That's bribery. Sit down, counselor. The lawyer sat. I pulled out my sentencing notes. I'd been writing them while Maximilian talked. Here's what's going to happen, Maximilian. The court fines you $50,000. This money will go directly to Mrs. Martinez to cover her medical bills, lost wages, and pain and suffering. Maximilian started to speak, but I held up my hand. Your license is suspended for 2 years, not 1 day less. During this time, you will not drive. If you're caught behind the wheel, you'll face criminal charges. His face went red again. 2 years? That's insane. You'll complete 400 hours of community service, not at some charity gala where you take photos for social media, real service. You'll work at Providence Community Hospital, in the emergency room, every Saturday and Sunday, 8-hour shifts. You'll see what it's like when people come in hurt, people injured by reckless drivers like you. I'm not doing that. Yes, you are, or you'll go to jail. Your choice. The courtroom was absolutely silent again. Everyone leaned forward. You'll also write a handwritten apology letter to Mrs. Martinez, not typed, handwritten, a minimum of 2 pages. In this letter, you'll explain what you did wrong, how it affected her, and what you learned. Mrs. Martinez will decide if she accepts your apology. If she doesn't find it sincere, you'll write another one. Mrs. Martinez nodded, tears streaming down her face. But these were different tears. These were tears of relief. Additionally, you'll create and deliver a public service announcement about the dangers of reckless driving. This PSA will be shown at every high school in Providence. You'll also deliver it in person at 3 schools of the court's choosing. Maximilian's hands were shaking now. You're humiliating me. No, Maximilian, I'm educating you. There's a difference. I looked down at my final notes. As for the contempt of court and attempted bribery charges, I'm holding you in contempt right now. Officer Chen, please take Mr. Sterling into custody. Maximilian's eyes went wide. What? No, you can't. Officer Chen walked over. He pulled out handcuffs. The sound of the metal clicking open echoed in the silent courtroom. You'll spend the next 48 hours in the county jail, Maximilian. This will give you time to think about your choices. When you're released, you'll have a review hearing with me. At that hearing, you'll tell me what you've learned. If I don't believe you've learned anything, your community service hours will double. The handcuffs clicked onto his wrists. Maximilian Sterling IV, the untouchable billionaire's son, stood in my courtroom wearing handcuffs. His expensive suit suddenly didn't matter. His watch didn't matter. His last name didn't matter. Your Honor, please, he said quietly. The arrogance was completely gone. I didn't mean... You meant every word, Maximilian. That's the problem. But you're young. You have a chance to become better, to learn that money isn't everything, that other people matter, that actions have consequences. Officer Chen started to lead him away. One more thing, I said. Maximilian stopped and turned. Mrs. Martinez works at Rosie's Diner. Once you complete your sentence, once you've done your community service and written your apology and shown real change, I want you to go to that diner. I want you to sit at her table. Order a meal. Leave a polite tip. Not a huge tip to show off. A normal, respectful tip. And I want you to see her as the human being she is. Can you do that? He nodded slowly. Yes, Your Honor. Good. Take him away, Officer Chen. We all watched as Maximilian was led out of the courtroom. His footsteps didn't click confidently anymore. They shuffled. The door closed behind him with a heavy thud. 6 months later, something unusual happened. I was reviewing case files in my chambers when my clerk knocked. Judge Caprio, someone's here to see you. He doesn't have an appointment, but he says it's important. Who is it? Maximilian Sterling. I was surprised. His sentence wasn't complete yet. He still had community service hours remaining. Send him in. Maximilian walked into my chambers. He looked different. He wore simple jeans and a plain shirt. No designer labels visible. His hair was less styled. He looked normal. Your Honor, thank you for seeing me. I know I don't have an appointment. Sit down, Maximilian. Is everything okay? He sat across from my desk. I wanted to give you an update and to thank you. Thank me? The hospital hours changed me. Last month, a 16-year-old kid came in. Car accident. He was texting and driving, hit a family in a minivan. The father didn't make it. When I saw that kid's face, the guilt and pain, I saw myself. I saw what could have happened if I'd been going any faster when I hit Mrs. Martinez. I listened carefully. I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about dignity, about seeing people as human beings. You were right. I was only thinking about myself. He paused. I went to Rosie's diner 2 weeks ago. I sat in Mrs. Martinez's section. She recognized me immediately. I thought she might refuse to serve me, but she didn't. She brought me coffee and asked what I wanted to eat, just like any other customer. How did that feel? Humbling, really humbling. When I was leaving, I tried to apologize again, face to face. She listened, then she said something I'll never forget. She said, "I forgive you, but more importantly, you need to forgive yourself and do better." That hit me hard. He pulled out a paper from his pocket. "I'm enrolling in EMT training. I want to actually help people, not just serve hours. My dad's furious. He wanted me to join his company. But I think this is where I need to be right now." I felt something I didn't expect. Pride. Maximilian, that's a good choice. A brave choice. I'm not the same person who walked into your courtroom. I'm trying to be better. I mess up sometimes. I still have entitled thoughts. But I catch myself now. I stop and think about how my actions affect others. He stood up. "I just wanted you to know. What you did that day, holding me accountable, it saved me from becoming someone truly terrible." We shook hands. His grip was firm but not aggressive, respectful. "Keep working at it, Maximilian. Change is a process, not an event." "I will, Your Honor. Thank you." He left my chambers. I sat back in my chair and thought about that day in court, about his arrogance, about his transformation, about the power of consequences paired with opportunity. Late that afternoon, I sat alone in my courtroom after everyone had gone home. The building was quiet, just me and my thoughts. People ask me all the time why I do this job. Municipal court isn't glamorous. We handle traffic tickets, small disputes, everyday problems. We don't make the news unless something goes very wrong. But cases like Maximilian's remind me why this work matters. Justice isn't just about punishment, it's about teaching. It's about showing people that everyone has equal value, that nobody is above the law, that money and power don't erase responsibility. Mrs. Martinez went back to work. She still limps sometimes. Her hours are still reduced, but she's healing. And the $50,000 helped her get ahead on bills for the first time in her life. She's saving for her kids' college education now. Maximilian is learning that real respect can't be bought. It has to be earned through actions and character. And me? I'm reminded that this black robe I wear represents something sacred. It represents the idea that in this room, we're all equal, rich or poor, powerful or powerless. When you stand before the law, only your actions matter. That's justice, real justice, and I'll defend it for as long as I serve on this bench.